What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about this situation before in relation to potential teams that would want and be interested in trading for Zach LaVine. And unfortunately, none of those teams really came to light, and Zach LaVine did have season-ending surgery, so things got a little bit complicated towards the regular season. But now that it's the off-season, trades naturally become a little bit easier to do in the off-season. We're going to be discussing the teams that could potentially be interested in Zach LaVine. This is an article from Pippen and Easy. I'm just going to look at the teams, discuss whether or not I think would be a good idea or not, and potentially give other teams that I think should be interested in trading for Zach LaVine. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and Zach LaVine, and which teams do you think would best suit him this offseason, getting ready for next season. Now, this by no means am I saying we are going to trade Zach LaVine, and this by no means am I saying this is going to be easier to trade Zach LaVine. But I guess the point of this video is to suggest that maybe there is a possibility that he could get traded. Maybe there are genuine teams that might be interested. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, doesn't mean it makes it any easier, but hopefully there's a focus here in saying that there are teams that could use a Zach LaVine. I know he's overpriced, his injury record isn't great, but at his best, I think he could be true value to a team. And here are the teams that are suggested by Pippen and Easy. The first one is the most obvious one, is the Detroit Pistons. They were the only team that truly showed interest in the regular season. But I still to this day do not understand why the Detroit Pistons want Zach LaVine. I felt like in the regular season, the best excuse I can come up with is that they wanted to salvage such a miserable season. I don't think they expected to be genuinely really bad and last in the Eastern Conference this year. And maybe they thought they had bigger aspirations than what they actually ended up being. But now that the offseason has come, they're getting another high pick most likely. They should be ready to go in that regard. They got a couple more young talent from the Knicks and stuff of that nature. I just don't understand why Detroit would be interested in Zach LaVine now. I just really don't understand it. So yeah, look, of course it's going to be a team that's going to be interested because they were interested in the regular season. But one thing we've got to really realize is that teams' identities and even decision-making can change from the regular season to the off-season. So just because they were interested in the regular season, that's good. Hopefully they're interested again. Does not mean that they will instantly keep their interest in Zach LaVine in the off-season. So keep that in mind. Number two, makes a little bit more sense to me, the Atlanta Hawks. Why does the Atlanta Hawks make more sense to me? Well, to put it nicely, Atlanta are not a very good team, and if they want to keep the services of Trae Young and continue to build around him, it is very clear that changes need to be made. I think it's as simple as this. Murray and Trae Young are both very talented players, skillful players, high stats, really solid duo. But whatever the case may be, whether it's the duo themselves or the team around them, that team isn't working. You know, Trae Young has been to very competitive teams before. He's been a part of very competitive teams for the Atlanta Hawks. I would arguably say that team, you know, that was in the 5th seed and versing the Knicks is not as good as the team you see now. But the problem is, this team that you see now at Atlanta isn't working. So changes do have to happen. Now, of course, what would the Atlanta Hawks be willing to give up? You know, is Trae Young off the table? That's a serious question. Do you actually consider getting rid of Trae Young? Is it DeJounte Murray? It's a couple of role players. I'm very interested in this, in all honesty, because I think there are a couple of very good Atlanta Hawks role players that I would love on the team. I wouldn't be opposed to Trae Young for a Zach LaVine deal. I know Atlanta fans will be, but I'm not as a Chicago Bulls fan. I wouldn't mind DeJounte Murray on the team either. I think he's a very good two-way player. I think there's a lot of genuine interest in this. It's piqued my interest, to say the least. And I think it does make sense for both teams. It's very clear. Both teams need to make a change. So why not make the change with each other? It could be a very valuable thing. We were both 9th and 10th in the Eastern Conference this season. So if anyone's saying that there's no changes needed, I think you need to look in the mirror. There's clear changes that need to happen. Number 3, the Orlando Magic. Recently exited the first round. Really solid stuff. Here's the thing with Orlando, right? Right now they build a foundation with their team that looks strong. Defensively looks strong. They're all linking up together in terms of age. They're all meeting the timeline, and it looks beautiful, right? To get Zach LaVine, there's a good chance you're going to have to break up some of those pieces. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner or anything like that from the Magic, because let's be honest, we'd be stupid to think something like that as Bulls fans. But even some of their core pieces, like, for example, you know, maybe a Jalen Suggs or something along those lines, a Cole Anthony, or you move to, you know, some of their forward depth and Jonathan Isaac and stuff of that nature. Those are still very important guys for them for different reasons. And, you know, do you really want to break, I guess, apart that team to go and get Zach LaVine that, you know, is a good player, of course. Scores really, really well. Very good three-point shooting. They definitely need more offense in their team. Are they willing to sacrifice their defense for their offense? And will it actually work? Because they built their team on defense. They are the top 3 best defensive teams in the league. That's phenomenal for a team of their age. So do you really want to break that apart so quickly? Because I think if you get Zach LaVine, you're going to have to give us some role players or some player of significance in return. We're not just going to sell him for nothing. You know what I mean? Or trade him for nothing. So that's a genuine question. But of course, I would be interested in the Orlando Magic and the potential assets we may get back. But knowing how we've been snubbed by Orlando a couple of times, how they've always won trades against us, is a genuine question there. And a very similar road to go down, the Sacramento Kings as the next one. Now look, I've said so many times, if there's any team I'd like to do a trade with, the Sacramento Kings would be at the top of that list. My goodness, are their role players just phenomenal for them. If there's anybody that plays like a team, it's the Sacramento Kings. Yes, they have De'Aaron Fox, phenomenal player, one of the classest players in the league, and definitely would be a game changer for anyone. Sabonis, game changer for anyone. But you're not getting those guys. You're going to get some of their role players, but my goodness, are they game changers? Some of their role players are players that, if they came to this Bulls team, would probably be one of our best players. I'm genuinely serious when I say that. They've built a really good foundation, and I know they didn't make the playoffs this season, but still, I really like that team, and I like what that team can offer, and it's a stacked Western Conference that they're in. So I would definitely be interested in a move for with the Sacramento Kings. The real question here is Sacramento willing to deal with us? Because again, they're going to have to break apart that foundation to get Zach LaVine. They're going to have to trade some key guys. And Zach LaVine does fit their system, in my opinion. But do they want to break up some pieces of that team to get Zach LaVine? It's a genuine conversation. We've got next here, let me quickly find it, the Charlotte Hornets. I'm going to end this one really quickly. If the Charlotte Hornets are interested in Zach LaVine, I don't know why. It's the same with the Pistons. They're just not close. They're not close to competing. What's the purpose of bringing Zach LaVine? You're going to have a good player on a bad team. It's like having LaMelo Ball. Now, I get it. Those two could work together and it could be really something special. But they're just not close. And I don't think they get close with Zach LaVine to being a playoff team. And again, you're getting two players that have a big history of injuries. LaMelo Ball and Zach LaVine. Again, I feel like it's a desperate attempt. And I think patience is going to be the big factor here with Charlotte. And if they're going to lack the patience, the best they could probably do is the 8th seed, in my opinion, with LaMelo Ball and Zach LaVine and the other guys that they have. I think their focus needs to be on a center, a valuable center. I think they need more in that regard. I think they've got Mark Williams, which is nice. They need more in that regard. They need more. I don't think a guard... I mean, to be fair, Terry Rozier is no longer there, but still, I just don't think they get close. But we'll see. Maybe Charlotte's a good option. Some role players I'd like there, but it probably wouldn't be my first choice. Number 6, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I've talked about Cleveland before. The only reason I'd want to do a deal with Cleveland is to get Donovan Mitchell. Yes, they have key guys as well, good role players on their team, but nothing to really scream home at this point in time. But the only reason I'd be interested is if Donovan Mitchell does not want to remain in Cleveland. He might want to go to a different organization, different scenery, maybe a bigger market. I don't know what it is that leads Donovan Mitchell to wanting to leave the Cavs. But that could be a possibility. And if that's the case, I'd be happy to do a Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell swap. I know Cleveland fans won't be happy with that, but if they're going to have an unsettled player, I think it might be best for them to get Zach LaVine, who would be settled in over there, and try to go and compete with the same squad again. That's a possibility. With progressions with Evan Mobley, I don't think it's out of the question. There's a couple other teams I think would be interested. Philadelphia, I think, would be very interested. I don't know why they've not been mentioned, but considering how they bowed out of the first round, I think they'd be very, very interested in a player of Zach LaVine, and even the Clippers as well. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.